I want to talk a little bit about three-point perspective now. And, usually if you want to draw something in three-point perspective, you can usually just do like this. Maybe if you were to sketch a rectangular solid or a cube-like object, sketch it at what you think your three-point angle would be. What do you want this to look like? What angle would you like to see it? So let's look at it this way, and then try to imagine taking all of those lines out to vanishing points. Now, usually what we like to have is to have a level horizon. So I might have to adjust this a bit to make sure these are converging to a level horizon. So let me try to draw what I think a level horizon would be here, say about right here. Now I'm making sure that all of these go to that point. What I would then do is, and by the way, this is a little bit of a very wide angle look, but it's still okay. We can get away with this. I'm going to take a vertical line down through here and then converge these verticals to a vertical vanishing point down below, like this. So I'm looking down at some sort of a structure. So if I like that look, that's fine. I don't need to worry about center of vision or distance lines or any of that stuff. As long as I'm not measuring, I just keep drawing to vanishing points. Draw to the vertical vanishing point, draw to the left vanishing point, and keep, any verticals go to the vertical vanishing point. If I have a road or let's say a sidewalk coming down besides these, say these are buildings, and I have this coming through here, I might have another street even this close coming through like this, so I could continue this on. So what I'm doing is I'm drawing, but you could see as I get farther and farther along here, there's more and more distortion. So there is a good reason to keep everything in the cone of vision generally. But once again, like I said before when I was talking about 2-point and 1-point perspective, we're not too concerned about this because, again, we're used to seeing it in film and in photography. You see a lot of wide-angle distortion. It's a common device used. So there's nothing too bad about it. But you could see I'm starting to draw in 3-point perspective just based on the angle I wanted to see something, and that's perfectly fine. As long as you're not having to measure or you're not worried too much about the cone of vision, what's in good perspective and what isn't. So another thing in doing 3-point perspective that you might want to be aware of, that is the idea that the vanishing points should have certain characteristics. So let's see. Let's just take this original drawing here. If I were to draw lines between all three vanishing points, this shows me that I'm doing something pretty good here because all of these angles are less than 90 degrees, and they should be for a somewhat reasonable look. You could still get away with, if you're not really measuring, you get away maybe with having one almost 90 degrees, but having the angles all less than 90 degrees is important. And for some reason, in 3-point perspective, all three of these lines that connect the vanishing points, these three lines are all called horizons. So this is a horizon, and this one is a horizon. So you could see there's 3 horizons in 3-point perspective. I guess that's because you could actually turn this thing any way you want. Also, another reason for calling it horizons is because of the definition of a measuring point. Because in this case, when I show the measuring point system for 3-point perspective, we're going to have a left, right, and a vertical measuring point. And what we'll need for those is a center of vision. And the way that we'll get that, I can demonstrate here now. What we can do here is think of the 3 horizons like this. If I'm going to draw something in 3-point perspective, I put a horizon here, and I'll have the so-called left horizon. By the way, this doesn't have to be equilateral, this triangle. It can be a little bit to one side or the other. So let's say then that what I have here is a three-point perspective where what I'm going to do now is draw at a 90-degree angle to the level horizon up here. I'm going to make a vertical line down. This is 90 degrees. This line goes through the vertical vanishing point down here. Now on this left side, what I need to do is also find a 90-degree angle that goes through the, on the right side I should say, that goes through the left vanishing point. So a 90-degree angle that goes through the left vanishing point right here. And where these two lines cross is the center of vision. If you're going to do measuring in perspective, you need that. You need the center of vision. So now, automatically, I can draw from the right vanishing point through that center of vision, and this will give me an automatic 90-degree angle here. So this now, when we're doing this, this is the right reference line. This will be the left reference line, and this will be the, oops, got to have blue, vertical reference line, VRL. And of course, the vanishing points can be labeled left vanishing point, a vertical vanishing point, and right vanishing point. Okay, so that's basically the idea here. As long as all these angles are less than 90 degrees, in other words, they're not a right angle anywhere in there. And we can, when I do the more complete diagram here, I'll demonstrate how to find the cone of vision. Okay,